to offer. Tell them what your hands were made for. Tell them who your mouth was made for. You got your prophets and your mathematicians, the vocal fuel of a generation. Tell me what my hands were made for. Tell me who my mouth was made for. Please don't be mad at me. I don't care what you ask for. Come on, come on, come on. Come on, come on, come on. So very close to what you had expected. It makes it hard to keep my head up level. Tell me I'm what your hands were made for. Tell me I'm who your mouth was made for. And if you come down on me, well, you'll get what you asked for. Come on, come on, come on. Come on, come on, come on. I wanna get myself back. I wanna get myself back. All of the things that you promised me that you'd be. Now your hands are tied. And all of the things that you promised me that you'd need. Now your hands are tied. Come on, come on, come on. Come on, come on, come on. Come on, come on, come on. Come on, come on, come on.
Welcome back to the show. That was Tegan and Sarah with Come On. I found another news story that I wanted to kind of interject with here. It hits me close to home, and dealing with the drought that is hitting our heartland pretty hard right now. And the story comes from MSNBC, but just NBC.com, NBCnews.com. The drought has dried up a stretch of the Platte River, which goes straight through Nebraska, and slows barges on the lower Mississippi. According to NBC News, it's not just on land where drought is taking a toll, but a 100-mile stretch of the Platte River has dried up, while barges along the lower Mississippi are having to carry less cargo in order to navigate shallower water. The Mississippi impact is one that goes far beyond the immediate area. About 60% of the nation's grain, 22% of its oil and gas, and 20% of the nation's coal goes down the river. Lighter barges mean longer waits for those products. The Army Corps of Engineers is tasked with dredging parts of the river where barges ground, and business is booming. According to Bob Anderson, a spokesman for the Corps, we're dredging around the clock. The latest grounding happened Thursday about 10 miles south of Greenville, Mississippi, backing up several tows before it was cleared and traffic resumed Friday morning, according to Anderson. The situation is the opposite from last year, where flooding saw the Mississippi River crest nearly 48 feet above the baseline near Memphis, Tennessee. Lately, the river has been 6 to 7 feet below the baseline, 12 feet below normal for this time of year. When you consider that a typical tow on the Mississippi River or Ohio River has 15 barges, a 1 foot loss of draft will decrease the capacity of that tow by 3,000 tons. The tows on the lower Mississippi River are larger, consisting of 30 to 45 barges, resulting in decreased capacity over 9,000 tons. On the Platte River, meanwhile, sand, plants, and tire tracks are now the dominant features along the stretch near Columbus, Nebraska. Someone with a dry sense of humor even put up a cactus in the middle of the river, according to the OmahaChannel.com. This is the worst I've ever seen it, and I've been on the river since I was a pup, according to Dan Neifel, who runs Gino's Bait and Tackle Shop in Nebraska. The river is essentially dry from Columbus to Kearney, which is about 100 miles away. You may find a little trickle in some stretches of that, but nothing to support fish, according to Darrell Bauer, a Nebraska Game and Parks Commission staffer, has told to the Lincoln Journal-Star. The river was full of fish, and to see them all die is a travesty. So that hits me a little bit close to home. I grew up near the Platte River and spent quite a bit of time canoeing, fishing on the Platte, and it's a really, really sad thing to see such a wide, magnificent river and the drought continuing to devastate the heartland. I am convinced that this hardship is just going to be the beginning as we see lower crop yields, devastated crops, devastated farmers and ranchers in the Midwest will only support higher increased prices of milk and corn and grain and all of those products that the heartland supports. And even, going back to coal and gasoline and ethanol, we are in for a rough year, I believe. It is now 9:22. Speaking of the weather, right here in Portland, Oregon, it is currently 75 degrees, clear skies. In Seattle, Washington, it is 75 degrees and under clear skies. Mullen, Nebraska, it's 64 degrees with scattered clouds. In New York, it is 81 degrees clear. Los Angeles, California, 68 degrees clear skies. And in Denver, Colorado, 81 degrees and scattered clouds. In Mullen, Nebraska, there is a severe thunderstorm watch in effect. And so for my grandmother and my aunt and my uncles up in Mullen, Nebraska, and all my family up in the Sand Hills, hope you're keeping an eye on the weather tonight. Here in Portland, we're under a heat advisory, and tomorrow and Sunday, it is supposed to be in the upper 90s to probably close to 100 degrees. So I will be out in that heat and hot weather tomorrow watching the air show, which will be broadcast live from my phone on the tarmac out at Hillsboro Airport for the Oregon Air Show. So I certainly hope you tune in and listen tomorrow. I will probably tune in around or go live around 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. It is now 9:24. On to the next story. The aging power grid is on overload as U.S. demands more electricity, and this comes from the Washington Post. To begin to bend in the roaring wind, and their steel girders snapped like twigs, the towers toppled, and the lights went out. But minutes before the windstorm arrived to pummel the Washington area on June 29th, it swept through West Virginia, crushing 3 electrical transmission towers that are a tiny part of the intricate power grid that's supposed to keep the lights on in America. The term grid suggests a certain uniformity to the power system structure. But the network more closely resembles a patchwork quilt stitched together to cover a rapidly expanding nation. The United States doesn't yet face the critical shortage of power that has left more than 600 million people in India without electricity earlier this week, but the U.S. grid is aging and stretched to capacity. More often the victim of decrepitude than the forces of nature, it is beginning to falter. Experts fear failures that cause blackouts in New York, Boston, and San Diego may become more common as the voracious demand for power continues to grow. They say it will take a multi-billion-dollar investment to avoid them. According to Otto Lynch, the vice president of Wisconsin-based Power Line Systems, he says, I think of our grid much like a water system, and basically all of our pipes are at full pressure right now. And if one of our pipes bursts and we have to shut off that line, that just increases the pressure on the remaining pipes until another one bursts. The next thing you know, we're on a catastrophic run and we have to shut the whole water system down. India's blackout was a power generation problem, and it was saddled with aging coal power plants and facing resistance to new nuclear plants. This week, however, several plants closed suddenly and the lights went out. Although the United States will need more power plants to meet the demands of a growing population, the more immediate threat is to the delivery system that will continue to fail. So let's hope, as we are continuing with this heat in our summer in our beautiful nation, let's hope that those demands are not enough to cause great power loss. My cousin Josh up in Washington works for a power company, and he has given me quite a bit of insight on how the system works. It is quite fascinating, and let's hope that all goes well. My next story is one from Florida. This comes from livescience.com. The so-called fire rainbows are neither on fire nor are they rainbows, but they sure are stunning. They are technically known as iridescent clouds, a relatively rare phenomenon caused by clouds of water droplets of nearly uniform size. According to a release by NASA, these clouds diffract or bend light in a similar manner, which separates out light into different wavelengths or colors, like a rainbow. This is what makes them similar to that phenomenon, which are also formed by diffraction and also produce an oscillating pattern of colors ranging from blue to green to red to purple and black to blue again. These iridescent clouds have rainbow-like colors. The way light is scattered to produce them is slightly different. Rainbows are formed by refraction and reflection. When light is refracted, it is bent by passing through mediums of different densities, such as water or a prism. Reflected light bounces off of a surface at an angle equal to the angle it hit the surface at. Diffraction, though, involves light waves being scattered into ring-like patterns. The phenomenon was captured in a photo taken on Tuesday, July 31st, in the clouds over South Florida. And if you go to www.livescience.com, search for fire rainbow, and you'll be amazed at the beautiful, beautiful photos that show up there. So take a look at that. It is now 9:29. Time for another quick commercial and another song. I think this time we're going to go with Band of Horses with Ode to the LRC.
Put them all